Start. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Christopher Curtis Bowen, on this evening edition of Fire for Liberty, co-creating the amazing, spectacular, revolutionary, evolutionary, evanescent factors of co-creative imagination, perspective, reach, guidance, light, arc, like bond, evanescence, super prevalent, super equivalent connection, tenacity bond of the light, of course, in the embodiment of the indestructible and invincible nature. Peace, positivity that exists within, of course, all of us, but that exists within me and my ability to not only combine and create and ultimately guide in a not only phoenix stature and presence, but of course the phoenix phenomenon, and of course PHP, phoenix evanescent phenomenon, and unlimited guidance and leadership for the development of the co-creative aspects of what is needed, of course, to not only lead, guide, and teach, and continue to plant seeds of limitless potential, but of course to help cement and fund, well, no pun intended with cement, but help anchor, no pun intended with anchor, but to help illuminate, no pun intended with illuminate, but to help ultimately ignite the type of, one, traditions, and two, mentalities, and of course three, spiritual nature, mentality growths, and seed plantings that allow for, of course, not only the anchorage of what ultimately not only is being built, but it already exists. It's just City of Light, and of course all the fantastic functions, of course, that go with it, and that also, of course, not only allows for prevalence of the brilliant nature of the co-creative aspects and abilities that exist, but also the tenacity of just the aura itself of the city. Of course, it is pretty much like it sounds, but specifically, Livingstone is one of the main building blocks. There you go. That's where building blocks to construct this home, or house, or structure. City of Light. Livingstone, gold, crystalline-like materials, rock-like materials, crystals, which make up and which ultimately represent some of the radiance in the glows of some of these just the plain old models, the models of what, of course, not only City of Lights, but more City of Lights in it, more fantastical, not only built by PHP, Phoenix Evanescent Phenomenon, but also the foundation for OFSE, as well as MM, combined with, well, I'm not going to reiterate the types of equations, however, the fantastical, brilliant natures, of course, of those aspects, combined with the types of understandings which can be compounded with Phoenix Evanescent phenomenon, is a brilliant, gorgeous phenomenon, which can also be exponentiated, which is why not only well beyond into, well, now 4, so 5, digits, which is still, well, here's what I mean by that. Okay, so 5 digits, that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing is 1029. So type 1029 civilization, which is 10 to the power of 10,296 watts. The basis of some of the type of developments and growth is, of course, which is very, very, of course, real and potential, is of course not only the types of, for example, characteristics that are innate for, the characteristics that are, of course, innate for all. Starseeds, indigo children, light workers, light warriors, and violet children, violet adults, star children, star adults, and indigo. And of course, beings born here with memories of other planets, of their existence in other star systems, and of course, their memories of being, which is one of the fantastic things about this, of course, this age is kind of, it's not only already understood of the unity which we have, but also of kind of the spectacular one, everlasting opportunity of being able to not only transcend the unique creative abilities of going into, for example, the natural levels, which are, of course, eternal, and of course very good anchoring points, and of course the development, of course, of our own development of our own DNA. So there, yes, of course, is the ability to create, well, for example, holographic rejuvenation technology can, of course, allow bonds for literal, which is still the same, but literal DNA rejuvenation, regrowth, healing, and vibrancy. One of the very amazing things about healing, health, and medicine, well, not necessarily medicine, it's more of health and healing. Vibrancy, it does have to do with vibrancy. Also, just the ability to not only understand the development of, not only the recognition, of course, of the immortality, but the recognition of the power, ability, and tenacity to be able to not only self-mold, self-create, and kind of self-realize, which is ultimately kind of the same thing. It's, what is that called? It's progress, self-progress, or character development into one of the physiologies that I described, which is dragon physiology. Specifically, of course, there's many other physiologies, some which I mentioned it's physiology, so from human to animal to some of the characteristics which can be enhanceable and enhance certain kinetics and certain abilities and capabilities, allowing accelerated fruition for not only development of a type of creationalistical environment, but of course that sort of eternal wisdom, which allows not only the continuance of positivity in the, for example, inner state, inner peace, inner mind, state of mind, in the mind, and as well as the inner peace, inner state in the mind of the physiology. And of course, therefore, it affects mental, physical, emotional, and etheric intentions, co-creative abilities, and tenacities. And of course, it always allows not only, the P word, progress, but of course it allows the understanding, not only the other understanding, not only the understanding, the R word, the responsibility, and the respect, of course, and the evanescence, which is, of course, the opportunity to continually grow, rise, lead, guide, ignite, and shine in the importance of not only the development and the movement. For example, the the planet, larger planet than this planet. This type of, call it, it's unlike any form of transportation and teleportation that can be described. However, more specifically, it's like a merging. It's a disintegration of the DNA and then a reintegration of that DNA as that atmosphere change is remoleculing the molecules of the DNA as they go to, for example, the larger planet, which has a different everything, different mass, different air, different gravity pulls, different sizes of species, different species of plants, animals, insects, and different ways to interact with technology and inventions, and the very actual use of technologies, and which is very amazing and very key, because it not only kind of opens doors and opens minds, of course, to the ability of going back and forth between, for example, just those two planets, and to understand the difference of those cultures, but to kind of not only experience those cultures, but to be involved in that. Of course, one of our important birthrights, which is leading and guiding a galactic society, galactic civilization, and building and guiding type 1029 civilization is well able to not only use Phoenix phenomenical aura and etherical sort of, combination or attachment to, of course, the dodecahedronal. I'll just use the M word. Manifestation ability in the formation of the fluid energy creation ability for some of the stepping stone civilizations. Of course, that being in the existence of the mind, for example, for example, winged sorts of, blue avians. Might sound like a tangent, but, what's it called? dis I'm digressing. But of course, one example is just the alliance, the sphere of being alliance, which of course is a very unique set of knowledge and understanding, which of course is an important understanding for our peace and peace, abundance, and of course paradise and heavenescent unity. More developments of not necessarily just alliances, like the sphere being alliances, but of the brand new types of creations of one. Well, for example, would be KIO, PLI, GIN, NAO, NAOTK, and TSV. Many unique bonds, connectivities. Of course, not only are restricted to, how should I say this? Are not only restricted to, for example, the solar system, even though sphere being alliance can go to and from the solar system, as well as Andromedans, and as well as Palladians, which I haven't mentioned in a while. Just of course, one of the special, amazing things is, of course, our limitless ability of unique creativity. Our unlimited ability of unique creatability in one sovereignty and of course, let's call it it's still the same thing, PHP, but physiology, Phoenix, evanescent phenomenon. And of course, these are very great, one, stepping stones, and two, ladders, and brand new ways to not only keep an open mind to new developments for technology. Not necessarily that technology is the absolute sort of bond and balance, because of course there is always balance between spiritual and technological advancement, which is of course why there's still a lot of progress, or there's a lot of progress that's been made and a lot of progress that there is yet to do. And this is a grand fruitionalistical positive reality for transcendental natures and for multi-creationalistical aspects, which is very, very peaceful, very harmonic, and very grand. This is your host, Christopher Malcolm Curtis Bowen, on this evening edition of Fire for Liberty, the 24th of August, 2017. Love you all.